Okay, let's start. So, how to really be unbothered. And what do I mean by agree with them, then do you? So, I'm going to say sort of my mantra when it comes to dealing with other people. And it's going to be triggering. So, bear with me and let me explain myself, okay? My mantra is agree with everyone and then do whatever the hell you want. I learned this from my mom. Well, she used to say it. I didn't learn it until I actually went through my spiritual awakening because I was just stubborn. Like I grew up hearing this stuff, but it took me a long time to really integrate it. So the first thing I want to teach you, and this is actually from my high value worthy woman ascension toolkit, which is an inner work program that's a part of the basic babe starting point. I have 4 levels of consciousness. If you check out my community tab on my YouTube channel, I have them listed there. So the number one thing that I shared in there is that the mind is not a camera, it is a projector. Okay? The mind is not a camera, it is a projector. And this means that we see the world not as it is, but as we are. We see the world not as it is, but as we are, which means that every single human being on the planet is experiencing a different reality. Every single human being. I used to be really confused before because this is years ago. My siblings and I would be hanging out, as adults or on the phone, and we would remember a story, and then 3 of us would get into an argument because all 3 of us remembered a completely different version of the story. And we would be like, no, that's not what happened. It was essentially like everyone was saying, no, but I was the victim, or no, I was the victim, right? And it never made sense to me. And when I started having my awakening, doing this work, I realized we were all correct. Every single person on the planet is having their own little mini reality. I read somewhere not too long ago that if 10,000 people have laid their eyes on you since the day you were born until now, like in passing anywhere, then there's 10,000 versions of you, because every single version of that person sees you very differently. This is why we will say one thing and some people will get offended, some people will feel inspired, other people will be neutral, because they're all having a different experience of it. It's a completely different mind chatter, okay? So when I realized this, I did my inner work and I stopped getting triggered by other people. I stopped being sensitive. I started noticing how sensitive everyone else was. The world feels really like a fragile place. And what I ended up doing at that point was walking on eggshells. I felt like I couldn't say anything because someone out there was going to get offended. Whether it was my family or my friends or my, YouTube following, someone was going to get offended. So I had a screw this, moment. And I'm like, if someone out there is always going to get offended anyways, then I might as well just speak my truth, because someone out there is also going to feel inspired by that. So at the end of the day, if someone says to me, for example, you're ugly, they're right. From their perspective, they are projecting out the ugliness inside of them onto me, and they're right. What they're seeing is ugliness because we see the world as we are, not as it is. So there's absolutely nothing to get offended about. Now I understand why my mother used to laugh when people used to be angry, because she used to say, it's so funny. How can someone lose control? And she used to say that angry people are similar to crazy people. Now I get it, because she used to just see it as someone not being stable, someone losing, projecting their own anger out. So when you can really start living this way, you'll realize that there's nothing to get offended about. There is absolutely nothing to get sensitive about. There is nothing to worry about, because everyone else is just projecting out whatever is inside of them. When I went through my own inner work journey, I used to use my triggers as healing. So I would look forward to triggers. So if my husband says something that triggered me, or a family member or a friend, I would be excited about it because It was me releasing more of what I no longer wanted to be. It has nothing to do with them. Everything to do with why am I getting triggered? Just because someone else is running their mouth, why am I getting triggered, right? So you have to start doing your inner work with this. And in the beginning, you may have to fake it till you make it. But this is why you will never see me getting engaged in debates with people. I agree with everyone. Whatever someone says, I agree. That is your reality. Okay, I may say something like, that's very interesting. I see your point. That's a great way of looking at it. Ah, I see why you would believe that. And then that's it. I do not engage with it. It has nothing to do with me. That's how you can be unbothered. Otherwise, you will always be walking on eggshells. I found myself doing that after I had started my inner work journey because I'm teaching, right, in my courses and my coaching and on YouTube. There will always be someone that will misinterpret what you meant and take it a whole nother level of crazy because that is the crazy inside of them. I cannot control that. There's nothing to debate. I agree with everyone on this planet because everyone is having their own little reality. And so I'm just doing whatever I want because I'm having my own reality. Does that make sense to you guys? Like that's literally the thinking mechanism behind Unbothered. Otherwise, there's just too much convincing energy, arguing energy. It's like two people running their egos at each other and no one's listening, no one's there.